You start reading a book out loud or something. Yeah, that's what they came here to see. Me read The Hobbit. But fuck it, why not? Why not? Yeah, welcome to the downloading sim. I guess we'll read The Hobbit while we're waiting. Guess why not? I'm gonna turn down the freaking volume of the Skyrim theme while... Is this the first chapter? What the heck? Okay. Fine. This feels weird reading on a stream, but we're gonna do it. I blame Todd for not giving people the PC to handle their shitty, amazing process of this game. I guess we're reading the first chapter of The Hobbit, because why not? In a hole in the ground there lived a hobbit. Not a nasty, dirty, wet hole filled with the ends of worms and an oozy smell, nor yet a dry, bare, sandy hole with nothing in it to sit down on, or to eat. It was a hobbit hole, and that means comfort. It had a perfectly round door like a porthole, painted green with a shiny yellow brass knob in the middle, the exact middle. The door opened on to a tube-shaped hall, like a tunnel. Listen, okay, I didn't write the book. Blame Tolkien, okay? Tolkien, or whatever you want to call it. Shh, we're reading, okay? Get your head out of the gutter. The door opened on a tube-shaped like hall, like a tunnel. Very comfortable tunnel without smoke. And paneled walls? That's a weird way to spell paneled, but okay. And floors tiled and carpeted, providing polished chairs, and lots of pegs for hats and coats. The Hobbit was fond of visitors. The tunnel wound on and on. God, that's weird old English, but okay. God. God, I suck at reading. The tunnel wound on and on, going fairly, but not quite straight into the side of the hill. The hill, as all the people for miles around called it, and many little round doors opened out of it, first on one side and then on another. No going upstairs for the hobbit, bedrooms, bathrooms, cellars, pantries, lots of these. Wardrobes. He had whole rooms, though, devoted to clothes, kitchens, dining rooms, all were on the same floor, and indeed on the same passage. The best rooms were all on the left-hand side, going in, for these were only the ones to have windows, deep-set round windows, looking over his garden and the meadows below, sloping down to the river. Death, I swear to God. This hobbit was a very well-to-do hobbit, and his name was Baggins. Baggins. The Bagginsons had lived in the neighborhood of the hill for quite some time, out of mind, and were still fucking downloading shit. Okay, sorry. People considered them very respectable, not only because most of them were rich, but also because they had never had any adventures, or did anything unexpected. You could tell what a Baggins would say on any question without bother of asking him. This is a story of how Baggins had an adventure, and found himself doing and saying things altogether unexpected. Listen, if you want to know about the dirty wedged hole, you can read it for yourself. Oh, okay. Okay, childrens. Settle down, sit back, and relax while we wait for the gallowed halls to download. Anyway. This... blah... Okay. He may have lost the neighbor's respect, but he gained, well, you see, whether... What is the freaking writing in this? So where's the copy you're sending us? It's from Barnes & Noble. Go there yourself. Anyway, the mother of the particular hobbit... What is a hobbit? I suppose hobbits need some description nowadays, since they have some rare and shy of the big people, as they call us. They are, or were, a little people, about half our height and smaller than the bearded dwarfs. Hobbits have no beards, and there is little to no magic about them, except the ordinary everyday sort, which helps them to disappear quietly, and quickly when large stupid folk like you and me come blundering along, making noise like elephants, which they can hear a mile off. They are inclined to be fat in the stomach, and they dress in bright colors, chiefly green and yellow. Wearing no shoes because their feet grow naturally leathery soles and thick warm brown hair like stuff on their heads, which is curly. They have long, clever brown fingers, good-natured faces, and laugh deeply with fruity laughs, especially after dinner, which they have twice a day when they can get it. That's just the... Wait. Wait. What? Hold on. Skyrim meets Dirty Wedges. That's the DLC. What is a man? What is a man? Well, they didn't really give a description of a man. I don't know why I keep looking down here when the freaking webcam's up here. Anyway. I hate when I go off on a rabbit trail because I have to find where I left off in a book. That's why, back in school, it was so hard to read because if I got distracted, I'd have to reread the entire chapter. But we're not going to do that. Okay. Are you kidding me? How many... Never mind, we're just going to continue. Alright. Chiefly green, blah blah blah, brown stuff, good nature faces. Okay. Now you know enough to go on with. But as I was saying, the mother of this hobbit of Bilbo Baggins, that is, was the famous Belladonna Took, one of these three remarkable daughters of the old Took, the head of the hobbits who had lived across the water. The small river ran a foot of the hill. It was often said in other families that long ago the Took ancestors must have taken a fairy wife. That was, of course, absurd, but certainly there was still something not entirely hobbit-like about them. And, well, once in a while members of the Took clan would go and have adventures. They discreetly disappeared and the family was hushed it up, but the fact remained that the Tooks were not as respectable as the Baggisons, though they were undoubtedly richer. Not that Belladonna Took had ever had any adventures after she became Miss Bungo Baggins, and yeah, you heard me correct, Bungo Baggins. Bungo, that was Bilbo's father, built the most luxurious hobbit hole for her. And partly with her money, but that was to be found either under the hill or over the hill or across the water. It took me 15 minutes, but I've left Helgen. Good job, Jack. The hill or across the water, and they remained to the end of their days. Dear God, how many DLCs? I look up and there's a new DLC being downloaded, but anyway. Still, it is probable that Bilbo, her only son, although he looked and behaved exactly like a second edition of his solid and comfortable father, got something a bit queer in his makeup from the Took side. Something that only waited for a chance to come out. The chance never arrived until Bilbo Baggins was grown up, being about 50 years old or so, and living in the beautiful hobbit hole built by his father. Bilbo's Big Bungo. I did not know his father was named Bungo, but now we do. Now we know. By his father, which I just described for you, until he had, in fact, apparently settled down immovably. God, that's a word. By some curious chance, one morning long ago in the quiet of the world, when there was less noise and more green, and the hobbits were still numerous and prosperous, and Bilbo Baggins was, standing at his door after breakfast smoking an enormously long wooden pipe that reached nearly down to his woolly toes. Neatly brushed, I might add. Gandalf came by. Gandalf! If you had heard only a quarter of what I've heard about him, and only heard very little of what there is to hear, you would have prepared for any sort of a remarkable tale. Tales and adventures sprouted up all over the place wherever he went, in the most extraordinary fashion. He had not been down that way under the hill for ages and ages, not since his friend, the old Took, died. In fact, the hobbits had almost forgotten what he looked like. He had been away over the hill across the water on, business of his own, since they were all small hobbit boys and hobbit girls. All that unsuspecting Bilbo saw that morning was an old man with a staff, and a tall, pointed blue hat and a long gray coat. A silver scarf over his long white beard hung down below his waist, and immense black boots. I'm streaming. I'm live right now.
I'm sorry.
You're good. There are 60 creations, by the way. Oh my god. Yeah, we're going to be here a while. Okay. Wait. Is it downloading all the creations? Anyway. Oh god. Anyway. Good morning, said Bilbo. And he meant it. The sun was shining and the grass was very green, but Gandalf looked at him from under long, bushy eyebrows that stuck out further than the brim of his shady hat.
What do you mean? Do you wish me a good morning, or do you mean it is a good morning whether I want it or not? Or that you feel good on this morning, or that it is a good morning to be good on?
All of them at once, said Bilbo, and a fine morning for a pipe of tobacco outdoors, into the bargain. If you have a pipe about you, sit down and have a fill of mine. There's no hurry, and we have all the day before us. Then Bilbo sat at the seat by his door, crossed his legs, and blew out a beautiful gray ring of smoke that sailed up into the air without breaking and floated away over the hill. Sorry, I'm reading Death's comment.
Very pretty, said Gandalf, but I have no time to blow smoke rings this morning. I am looking for someone to share an adventure that I am arranging, and it is very difficult to find anyone.
I should think so in these parts. We are plain quiet folk and have no use for adventures. Nasty, disturbing, uncomfortable things. Make you late for dinner. Can't think of what anyone sees in them, said our Mr. Baggins, and stuck one thumb behind his braces and blew out another, even bigger smoke ring. Then he took out his morning letters and began to read them, pretending to take no more notice of the old man. He had decided that he was not quite his sort and wanted him to go away. But the old man did not move. He stood leaning on his stick and gazing at the hobbit without saying anything, till Bilbo got quite uncomfortable and even a little cross. Good morning, he said at last. We don't want any adventures here, thank you. You might try over the hill or across the water. And by this he meant that conversation was at an end.
What a lot of good things you do use good morning for, said Gandalf. Now you mean that you want to get rid of me, that it won't be good till I move off.
Not at all, my dear sir. Let me see, I don't think I know your name.
Yes, my dear sir. I do not know your name, Mr. Bilbo Baggins, and you do not know my name, though you don't remember that I belong to it. I am Gandalf, and Gandalf means me. To think that I should live to be a good morning by Belladonna Took's son, as if he was selling buttons at the door.
Gandalf, good gracious. Not a wandering wizard that gave old Took a pair of magic studs that fastened themselves and never came undone till ordered. Not the fellow who used to sell wonderful tales at parties about dragons and goblins and giants and rescues of princesses and the unexpected luck of widows' sons. Not the man who used to make such peculiar, excellent fireworks. Why, I remember those. Old Took used to have them on Midsummer's Eve. Splendid! They used to go up like great lilies and snapdragons and laburnums of fire and hang in the twilight all evening. You will notice already Mr. Baggins was not quite prosy that he liked to believe. Also that he was very fond of flowers. Dear me, he went on, not the Gandalf who was responsible for quiet lads and lasses going off to the blue for mad adventures. Yeah, he does. Actually, this is Bilbo talking. He's going on and on. Anything climbing from trees to visiting elves or selling ships, sailing to other shores. Bless me, life used to be quite you used to upset things badly in these parts once upon a time. I beg your pardon, but I have no idea you were still in business.
Where else would I be, said the wizard. All the same, I am pleased to find you remember something about me. You seem to remember my fireworks kindly. At any rate, that is not without hope. And indeed your old grandfather Took's sake, and the sake of poor Belladonna. I will give you what you asked for.
We're still downloading. I beg your pardon. I haven't asked for anything.
Why, yes, you have. Twice now, my pardon. I give it to you. In fact, I will go as far as to send you on this adventure. Very amusing for me, and very good for you, and very profitable, too. Very likely if you ever get over it.
Sorry, but I don't want any adventures. Thank you. Not today. Good morning. But please, come to tea. Anytime you like. Why not tomorrow? Come tomorrow. Goodbye. And with that, the Hobbit turned and scuttled inside his brown-green door and shut it quickly as he dared. Not to seem rude. Wizards are wizards, after all.
What on earth did I ask him?
Oh, wait. That's not Gandalf. That's Bilbo. What on earth did I ask him for tea for? He said to himself as he went to the pantry. He had only had just breakfast, but he thought a cake or two and a drink of something would do him good after his fright. His fright? Gandalf, in the meantime, was still standing outside the door and laughing long but quietly. After a while, he stepped up and, with the spike on his staff, scratched a queer sign on the Hobbit's beautiful green door. And then he strode away just about the time Bilbo was finishing his second cake and beginning to think that he had escaped adventures very well. What is JJ? What are you sending? Hold on. I hate to interrupt story time.
Yeah, I think mine's the same as yours, Steven.
Okay, they're going on about something. Okay, anyway. Then he strode away, and just about the time when Bilbo was finishing his second cake and beginning to think that he escaped adventures very well. The next day he forgot about Gandalf and did not remember things very well, unless he put them down on his engagement tablet like, "This Gandalf's Tea Wednesday." Yesterday he had been too flustered to do anything of the kind. Just before tea time there came a tremendous ring on the front doorbell, and he remembered. He rushed to put on the kettle and put on another cup and saucer and an extra cake or two, and ran to the door. "I'm so sorry to keep you waiting," he was going to say, when he saw that it was not Gandalf after all. It was a dwarf, with a blue beard tucked into a golden belt, and a very bright eyes under his dark green hood. As soon as the door was opened, he pushed inside just as if he had been expected. He hung his hooded cloak on the nearest peg, and "Dwalin be at your service," he said at a low bow. "Bilbo Baggins at yours," said the Hobbit, too surprised to ask any questions for the moment. When the silence that followed had become uncomfortable, he added, "I'm just about to take tea, and pray come that have some with me, and a little stiff perhaps." But he meant it kindly. And what would you do if an uninvited dwarf came and hung his things in your hall without a word of exclamation? They had not been at table long. In fact, they had hardly reached the third cake when there came an even louder ring at the bell. "Excuse me." Oh wait, he didn't say it offensively. "Excuse me," said the Hobbit, and off he went to the door. Okay, well, hope you did enjoy the first half of that. I know I did.